Breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report. Presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome, everybody, to Jeff Diamond's Thursday Purple Report, brought to you today, every Thursday and Mondays during the Viking season, which we hope goes on for several more weeks, by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is Jason Stormer. Does a great job putting the show together. He's sporting his Viking purple. He's a front runner for playoff week. How you doing, Jason?
It is the first time in 3 years that we get Minnesota Viking playoff action. It's the first time in, 5 or 6 years that we've hosted a playoff? We haven't hosted a game since the Miracle,
That's right.
I believe. So I am just
exactly right.
I'm soaking it all in. I'm ready to be disappointed, of course. I'm a Vikings fan, but today I'm feeling the purple love.
That's a good way to be. Playoff time is my favorite time on the NFL calendar. I've got so many great memories from playoff games in my career. Some good, some bad.
Right.
But I try to remember more of the positive, such as my first year when we beat the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, when the 1987 playoff run to beat the 49ers, Joe Montana, Bill Walsh, Ronnie Lott. You probably weren't even born then, but...
No, probably not. Not quite. 94.
Yes. And then I had some great years in Tennessee. We had the Music City Miracle in 1999 and beat the Buffalo Bills and went to the Super Bowl that year. So playoff time, very exciting, also very tense, a lot of pressure. And I think people that have been out at Viking headquarters this week can kind of feel it a little bit, that it's a little more tense and a little more serious, and that's the way it should be come playoff time. So we know one thing, Jason, this has been a fantastic regular season. I will say it's been the most exciting regular season in Viking history. And I've been watching Viking football for a long time. But we also know that if you lose your first playoff game, especially if you're at home and you're a favorite, that's a major downer. So really important for the Vikings to find a way to get the win this week against the G-Men. Now, if they end up going out to San Francisco next week, where they'll be pretty significant underdogs, if that happens, maybe Seattle will somehow knock them off. I don't see that happening.
I mean, that's a third time you got to face a divisional opponent, and Pete Carroll's been around the block. He probably's got a couple wrinkles for Geno Smith, DK Walker, and Tyler Lockett. I'm just saying.
That defense is too tough,
It's true. It's true.
Unless Brock Purdy, the rookie quarterback, just comes back to earth.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Maybe.
But maybe that'll happen next week for the Vikings. But anyway, the Vikings take on the New York Giants, a rematch of Christmas Eve Day, one of the thrilling games during the season, one of the many thrilling games that came down to the wire, as we recall, certainly. But before we wrap it all up, let's talk briefly about beating the Bears in Chicago. Final regular season game. Vikings end up 13-4, win that game rather easily. Kind of nice to win a 2-score game instead of a 1-score game after 11-0 and 1-score games. So they had the bookends of the two-score games against Green Bay and Chicago. But beating the Bears, sweeping the Bears is always a good thing, even if Justin Fields didn't play and whatever. But let's look back and see how the coach handled it in the locker room after the game.
But here's what I want. I want everything we got, whether you play today or not. Everything you got's getting poured into this week. You're going to get the same out of us as a staff, and we're going to show up with our best collective effort as the Minnesota Vikings this next weekend when it matters the most. We are primed and ready. Accomplishing all we did this year, 13 wins in this league, is not easy to do. Give it up for yourselves one more time. Let's get a break on me.
So, Kevin was already on to the playoffs about 5 minutes after the Bear game, and that's a good thing that he had turned his attention forward. And when we look back at that last game against the Giants, as we said, a thrilling game, came down to the wire. Greg Joseph making the club record 61-yard field goal to win it, but so many big plays before that in the game. T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins were dynamic in this game. The Vikings defense was shaky. Pass coverage, pass defense was very shaky. It's got to improve this week. Daniel Jones had his second best day of the season, threw for 334 and a touchdown. Patrick Peterson did have an interception. But Jefferson made several big plays down the stretch. Hawkinson made a couple of great touchdown catches. Let's look back briefly at that game against the Giants, some of the highlights.
Trying to do it again. Here comes a blitz by the Giants. Cousins to the end zone for Hawkinson. What a catch! Vikings lead on an incredible grab by the Pro Bowler.
Ooh, that was a tremendous catch by T.J. Hawkinson, who has made a huge difference in this team. And one of the things that's different this week for the Vikings is that they will face Xavier McKinney, the Giants' very good veteran safety. And he's already cranked up to try to hold TJ down from the 13 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns he had last time. Dory Jackson's another player who did not play in that last game for the Giants. He's probably their best cover corner. Now, he's been limited this week in practice, so we'll see what happens with him. But he's been talking about trying to get back and have a chance to do a better job on JJ in this game, although we know that JJ got lots of double covers last time. So let's look at a couple more highlights and maybe a couple of Jefferson's plays in this game.
Empty set for Cousins. Looking deep over the middle, and it is, guess who? Justin Jefferson, the clutch play of the day.
I don't like those injury celebrations.
No, we don't like
that players
that,
do. I know now I can just blow it off every single time I see Justin Jefferson do it because I know he's faking it. But still, it's just like,
yeah, forget that.
Still,
we
don't
need to see that. Exactly. And as we said, came down to the wire in this game. A couple of big plays by Jefferson on the final drive. But before that, the Giants, the touchdown pass we just saw by Jefferson, put the Vikings up 24-16. Just like a minute and a half left of the game, you're thinking, okay, it's safe. And Daniel Jones took them right down the field in 59 seconds. And the tying touchdown by Saquon Barkley.
They're going to run it. And in the biggest moments, Saquon Barkley said he wanted the ball. Touchdown. Jones looking, tossing it. It is caught. Bellinger, tie game.
That was quite the performance by Daniel Jones down the stretch and Barkley. Barkley, a Pro Bowler, 1,312 yards on the season. Daniel Jones, I thought, has really come on this year and is setting himself up for a nice contract, by the way. But as we said, the Vikings quickly come back down the field. Justin Jefferson, a big 17-yard reception on the final drive, and set up this unbelievable game winner by Greg Joseph.
From 61. And he has done it again! And the Vikings do it again!
Love that moment. That was a great reaction by Cousins, and I don't think anybody necessarily expected 61 yards to make that one. We figured going to overtime, but it worked, and they're going to need some more magic from Greg Joseph come playoff time starting this week, and certainly some of the important players for the Vikings defensively, Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith. Zadarius, over the last 7 games, Jason, only a half a sack, but he sat out the Bear game due to a personal matter, and probably good that he did get rested up. He said he feels the best he's felt in a long time. To me, Danielle Hunter, who had a big game against the Giants, had 2 sacks and 4 quarterback hits, and was going against Evan Neal, who's had a lot of trouble as the Giants' right tackle. Hunter and Smith, I think, are the keys to this defense. It's obvious that that's the case, and however far they're going to go, it's going to be because those guys have to even step up their performance even more come playoff time. But let's hear from Kevin O'Connell as he approaches his first playoff as a head coach.
I'm excited about the week. Big opportunity for our team. As we've talked about before, the opportunity to host a playoff game at US Bank is going to be huge for our organization. For this team particularly, we've talked a lot about having our fan base there this Sunday and providing a heck of an atmosphere for us like they've done all season long. So A lot will go into this week from a preparation standpoint, but we will try to maintain our process, which we've done throughout the year. Good to have a Sunday game at home, no travel. So looking forward to getting out on the practice field today.
So before we hear from Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Danielle Hunter, Giants coach Brian Daboll, and Daniel Jones, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. It's time to visit your Select Minnesota GMC dealers and hit the turf in a truck that's designed to tackle the toughest proving grounds. That's the GMC Sierra SLE. It's bold, precise, and capable. Sierra comes standard with a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine, delivering 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Or call a winning play with an available 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And when it comes to comfort and refinement, climb in and discover the convenience of the standard 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. And don't forget, Sierra is truly the MVP with the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate. It's the new year and a great time to step up to the professional grade season. Good luck in the playoffs to the Vikings. Test drive a new GMC Sierra SLE today. The year's best selection is available now at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers or online at TwinCitiesBuickGMC.com. The offensive line, Jason, a little bit nervous about that group.
I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
A little nervous about that group. And the good news is Garrett Bradbury, the starting center, was back at full practice today after being limited yesterday. And Blake Brandel also is back on the practice field and is sure to be activated this week. We'll see how Kevin O'Connell decides to utilize whether it's Oli Udoh or Blake Brandel, and maybe they'll both be playing. They have a tough task with Kayvon Thibodeau, the 5th overall pick in the draft. Brian O'Neill did a great job on him last time. Of course, Brian is now lost for the year with that Achilles injury. And I think it's a huge loss for the Vikings. And to me, one of the keys to this game is going to be the Vikings are going to have to go to a quick passing game. The Giants put a lot of pressure on them last time. They're the heaviest blitzing team in the NFL, 45% blitz rate that they do. And they've also got a Pro Bowl defensive tackle in Dexter Lawrence. So even if Bradbury plays, he's going to have his hands full, or Lawrence may shift over against Ed Ingram, who we know has struggled at times this year. So I think it's incumbent on O'Connell and Cousins to put that quick passing game in, make sure that Jefferson is still getting his targets. TJ Hawkinson, Irv Smith Jr., another wild card perhaps in this game, that he came back last week, had several catches. But the Giants are one of the worst teams at defending the tight end. They give up a 115 passer rating to tight ends. And so that's the opportunity. Now, we know that McKinney's back now, but even still, when he was in there, they had trouble with tight ends. So Hawkinson is a key. Irv Smith Jr. could be a wild card. Jefferson's got to get his targets. KJ Osborne has been great latter half part of the season, and we know Adam Thielen is always going to be reliable. So the Vikings have the weapons. If the O-line can hold up, that's the big question. And the Giants are going to come after Cousins. They came after him last time, and he played a great game, and he stood in against the pressure, took 11 hits, was sacked 4 times, and was able to get the ball out. So I think it's really going to be a big challenge for the Vikings offensively. And meanwhile, on defense, we've already talked about putting the pressure on Daniel Jones, not letting him run because he's a very dangerous runner. Their receiving core is very average, but they lit up the Vikings last time. Guys like Richie James and Darius Slayton, Hodgson's, who was picked up on waivers from Buffalo, and he had 8 catches last time. Bellinger, the tight end, we saw him catch the 2-point conversion. So it's a challenge for the Vikings. I think the Vikings are the more talented team, but they need to win the turnover battle in this game. But let's hear from Kirk Cousins about his approach to the playoffs. And he's a guy, he's got a 1-3 playoff record in his career. A nice long playoff run would really help his legacy.
Yeah, excited to be hosting a home playoff game. We expect it to be a great atmosphere on Sunday afternoon, and playing a great football team as is expected in the playoffs, and be a great challenge for us. So, you start your paces like normal on a Sunday to Sunday rhythm now with Wednesday, and just kind of take it one day at a time right now and build the the foundation for the week today, and looking forward to what Sunday's going to bring. But it really does feel like a 1 week, 1 game season. You just kind of have the ability to just kind of, if ever there was a time to focus on one day at a time, focus on one game at a time, the playoffs is that time. So looking forward to that challenge.
And I think one thing that strategically the Vikings need to do scheme-wise in this game is really make sure that they keep in, for example, one of the tight ends, do a lot of chipping with the backs, whether it's Dalvin Cook or C.J. Ham when he's in the game, to help with the pass protection, pick up those blitzes. That's going to be the big challenge for the Vikings. Even the receivers with chipping as they go out in routes. It's almost all hands on deck this week when you think about what the Giants are going to bring and the kind of people that they have on defense. So big challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you're not going to replace Brian O'Neill. I think PFF-wise, him and Christian Darrisaw graded as top 10 tackles all season long, both on the left and the right. It's just not going to be replaced. In terms of this game, though, what I'm very interested to see is what maybe wrinkles KOC has up his sleeve. Because if we think back to the last Vikings playoff game against the Saints, what did Mike Zimmer do different in that game? He lined Danielle Hunter, kind of like as a nose tackle, and it kind of threw the Saints off the whole game. I don't know what KOC has in store, but you mentioned kind of getting a rhythm going, especially in the passing game. I would really like to see some hurry-up offense early in this game, especially because if you're really expecting a lot of pressure from the Giants, especially from the blitz, you're going to need to get those passes out quick, and you need to get them on their toes. So if you do a hurry-up, which I don't think the Vikings did a lot of in the regular season, besides like obvious situations like 2-minute drills, I kind of want to see that right out of the gate with 14 minutes left in the first quarter. You know what I mean? I think they're going to do something different. I don't know what it is. That's kind of what I would like to see.
Yeah,
but
I think there's a good chance they'll do that. They've gone up tempo a fair amount this year, and certainly with a veteran quarterback like Cousins, I think they can do that.
Yeah.
And prevent substitution by the Giants. It also maybe tire out their big nose tackle, Dexter Lawrence, which would be a good thing. But it also might tire out Bradbury, who hasn't played in 5 weeks. So we'll see if he's even able to play. But I think it's going to be, as we said, challenging game. Always is come playoff time. These are teams that have been winning all season long to earn that spot, and not going to be easy. Justin Jefferson, we know he's going to be a key guy. It's his first playoff game, too.
Weird to think about.
But he's also a guy that's played in a lot of big games, national championships in college, and he loves to be on the big stage. Let's hear.
I just feel like this whole team is just our team chemistry has grown, especially this year. I feel like all of us is on that same page. You know, everybody want that one goal is to win the Super Bowl. All of the adversity we've been through this year, all of the close games that we've been through this year. It goes to show you that we have a team. We have a team that's wanting to win. So we just got to put those things together for these last couple of games, and we all got to have that same goal, throughout the whole way.
And JJ knows he's going to get double coverage. He knows he's going to get a lot of attention, which, again, could open the door for guys like Osborne, Thielen, Hawkinson, Irv Smith Jr. But you cannot go away from Justin Jefferson. I don't care if he's double covered. We've seen him all year long make big plays in big moments. So don't forget about JJ, regardless of what kind of coverage he's seeing. He should never see 5 targets as he saw in Green Bay a couple weeks ago. No. And I mentioned before, Danielle Hunter, he's a guy that you were just talking about. That Saints playoff game had a big game. He also had the big game against the Giants 3 weeks ago against Evan Neal, their offensive tackle, who has struggled this year, even struggled last week against Hassan Reddick and the Eagles. So Hunter, I think I mentioned with Zadarius Smith, those two guys are critical. Have to put the pressure on Daniel Jones. And then the linebackers, guys like Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, have got to be able to pick him up when he runs. But let's hear from Danielle Hunter as he approaches this game.
I mean, that game's to the past. We're with them. We're playing them this week. So, basically, we stuck with the game plan, and we have a game plan this week that we're going to stick with.
Are you really comfortable standing up or sitting down now? I mean, you had a year to do it now. I mean, since they came in.
I mean, it don't matter to me, man. I'm gonna do whatever it takes for us to win a football game. Whatever my team needs me to do, I'll do it. Stand up, put my hand in the dirt. I'm gonna do it no matter what people say.
Yeah.
So before we get to the Giants side of the equation and hear from the coach and the quarterback, let's talk again about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. It's time to visit your Select Minnesota GMC dealers and hit the turf in a truck that's designed to tackle the toughest proving grounds. That's the GMC Sierra SLE. It's bold, precise, and capable. Sierra comes standard with a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Or call a winning play with an available 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And when it comes to comfort and refinement, climb in and discover the convenience of the standard 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. And don't forget, Sierra is truly the MVP with the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate. It's the new year and a great time to step up to the professional grade season. Good luck in the playoffs to the Vikings. It's the new year, a great time to step up to the professional grade season. As I said, test drive a new GMC Sierra SLE today. The year's best selection is available now at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers or online at TwinCitiesBuickGMC.com. So, the Giants, the G-Men, Big Blue, come to town. And not surprising that the Vikings have one of the prime playoff spots, that Sunday late afternoon doubleheader game at 3:30, with, of course, the Giants being a national glamour type team, big market team, and the Vikings having played exciting games. I think the networks in the league are expecting a close game, and I agree with them. I think it'll be a close game. Let's hear from their coach, Brian Daboll, who's done a great job. He's one of the Coach of the Year candidates, along with Kevin O'Connell, too.
What did you learn from facing Justin Jefferson the last time?
That he's really good, but we knew that going in. So again, I said this before when we played him. There's not a lot of teams that, or a lot of players, a lot of teams that can just stop him. He's he's one of the best in the league. He's a dynamic player. He's got a lot of production. He's an exceptional route runner. He's a very tough player to defend.
And he's right about that.
I agree with that sentiment.
He is right about that. And Daniel Jones approaching his first playoff game.
Yeah, I've spoken to some of the older guys, some of the coaches, and a lot of guys talk about the speed of the game and that increasing in the playoffs and just how critical each play is. Then it's one or two plays here or there that's going to make the difference. And in a regular season game, maybe it's a handful, but in the playoffs, these are good teams you're competing against. It's one or two plays that's going to make the difference. So we understand that. We understand what's at stake, but we're going to stick to what's gotten us here. We're going to stick to the routine, the preparation that we've been putting in.
And we know when you get to playoff time, every little play matters, and special teams can play a big role in the game too. And as we've already talked about, Greg Joseph, Graham Gano, an excellent kicker for the Giants, also was 3 for 3 in the last game, made a 50-plus yarder. And the Vikings had a big block punt in that game too by Josh Metellus, which helped set up a touchdown. So we'll see. Anything can happen come playoff time. We'll see how that plays out. Let's talk a little bit about some of these other games, and then we can make our picks, Jason.
Awesome.
So we've got San Francisco hosting Seattle. I think that's a pretty easy one.
Pete Carroll is an experienced head coach. That's still a pretty veteran roster that's been around there forever. I think they'll put up a much better fight than people give him credit for. I still think San Francisco will win. I still do, but it might be a one-score game. I really might. I kind of think that. I don't know. And again, I'm not going to really put a ruling on Brock Purdy until I actually see him in a playoff game. I'm just not.
Yeah. Mr. Irrelevant's been pretty good. He's 6-0 as a starter.
Yeah.
Giants have won 10 straight. I think they roll over Seattle in this game.
May the best man win.
Then late game Saturday is the Chargers at the Jaguars. I think that's a really interesting matchup. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, their first playoff games. It kind of brings to mind Jason, I think this is really a fascinating group of quarterbacks in the playoffs this year. And before we talk about that particular game, I kind of break them down into 4 categories. You've got the first playoff newbies, and that includes your guy Brock Purdy, Daniel Jones, who we'll see on Sunday, Justin Herbert, I just mentioned, Trevor Lawrence, we just mentioned, Geno Smith, his first playoff game. And I guess whoever starts for Miami, but if it's Teddy Bridgewater, he has played in the playoffs before with the Vikings.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, but I think there's a next group that kind of the need to prove it on the big stage group, and that's where I put Kirk Cousins. He's 1-3 as a starter in the playoffs. Has never gone past the divisional round. You can add in that category Dak Prescott, also 1-3 in the playoffs. Has not been to a conference championship. Lamar Jackson. I'm not sure he's going to play this week. It sounds like
he's already been ruled out, I believe. So,
so that's very unfortunate for Baltimore. I think that gives Cincinnati that game, but Lamar was a guy also 1-3 in the playoffs. And I'm going to put Jalen Hurts in that category too, because he's played 1 playoff game in his career and he lost last year. So we'll see if he can take the Eagles, who are one of the favorites, on a playoff run. Then you've got kind of the young elite, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow in that category, and the GOAT, Mr. Brady down in Tampa Bay. I'm not sure I'm ready to count him out quite yet.
You never can.
Even though they're facing the Cowboys and that defense, but the Cowboys have been just so up and down lately.
That last game against Washington was just...
It was dismal.
Doesn't inspire a lot from the Cowboys.
It doesn't, but I think that they'll rise up this week. So let's get back to the Chargers and the Jags. I like the Chargers. I think they're a more talented team, even though Jacksonville's at home. They had a hard time moving the ball on Tennessee last week and really won the game with their defense forcing a strip sack. I think it was by the other Josh Allen, and recovered the ball. He ran it in for the touchdown to basically win the game for the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence was having trouble against that Tennessee defense. The Chargers also, I thought Brandon Staley, their head coach, made a major error. They'd already locked down the 5th seed, and they played all their starters last week, and he incurred some injuries in the process. That made no sense. But I'll take the Chargers this game in a close one.
Yeah. I can't rule out with Doug Peterson being the coach down there in Jacksonville. He's a very experienced head coach, so he's going to have those guys ready. It'll be a close game for sure. Basically, it's the battle of who has the better hair, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert. They've got great lettuce up there. So, I'm probably leaning more towards the Chargers too. There's more at stake for them too, because I think Brandon Staley's name has been a little bit on the hot seat this season, even though I think he's probably okay now that they made the playoffs. I think the Chargers will overcome some maybe injury bugs and get it done down in Jacksonville.
Yep. Okay, then let's go to Sunday and the Bills hosting Miami. No Tua for the Dolphins. I think Buffalo rolls in this game.
Yeah.
They've got the motivation, they got the karma, they got the energy from the Damar Hamlin situation, and Damar now back in Buffalo, recuperating, so happy with his recovery. We'll see if he makes a guest appearance at the stadium on Sunday. I kind of hope he doesn't, just stay home and relax.
Yeah, but thank goodness he got released from the hospital and everything.
Exactly.
It's a miracle.
So I'm going to take Buffalo in this game and rolling.
Yeah, me as well. It's actually looking like Skylar Thompson will start at quarterback again for the Dolphins here.
Goodbye, Dolphins.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Buffalo's going to win.
Right. And then we've got the night game on Sunday, which pits... Who we got in the night game?
Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Baltimore and Cincinnati, that's right.
Yep.
Okay. And I like the Bengals with no Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Gotta go with them. We agree on that. So back to the Vikings. Well, first let's talk about Dallas on Monday night. And we knew that was gonna be the Monday night game with Brady and the Cowboys and blah blah blah.
Ratings.
Yes. I think Brady's gonna play him tough, but I just think Micah Parsons, that Dallas defense, is gonna rise up, force some turnovers in this game. Dak Prescott's been really shaky, but I think they can run the ball, and I'll take Dallas in this game, but it would not surprise me if Brady found a way to win.
I'll pick Tampa. I don't know. Dallas is shaky, like we've talked about. They're only 2.5-point favorites, and When Tom wants to turn it on, he will. He had a great last couple of games there with Mike Evans. He's starting to get going again. Why not? Why not? Go. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? Go
okay,
Bucks.
You
Why
go
not?
Bucks. I'll take the Cowboys, even though I hate the Cowboys.
I do
and
too.
Vikings and the Giants. I think it's a close game once again, just like the last time. I think it's going to be tight. The Vikings' pass coverage has to be better. Their pass rush has to get to Jones. But I like the way that Cousins has been playing this season. I think he's going to find a way to get this done with Jefferson, with some short passes, with some screens to Dalvin Cook. Getting the running game going is really critical in this particular game. The Giants are the number 27 team against the run this season, and the Vikings did not run it enough against them last time. O'Connell acknowledged that. I think they're going to try to run it more, so that's going to be a key too. I'm going to take the Vikings 30-27.
My final score was 34-28. Minnesota Vikings. I don't care about defense in this game. I'm not really expecting the Vikings defense to hold up, but I expect us to get to the Giants defense a little bit. Again, I'm very interested to see what wrinkles KOC has up his sleeve that he has not shown all season long. They are obviously going to be some offensive ones, even though I want to see some defensive wrinkles too. I'm confident he's going to get the job done. Sure, the offensive line is very shaky. I think we're going to overcome that. We've beaten the Giants before. Yes, we needed a really long field goal to get it done. I don't care. Skull Vikes. I wore my thing today. I got to pick them, right?
Right. Well, okay, then we're in agreement on
Yes.
that, and we will be back on Monday to break it all down, the playoff game. I think it's going to be an exciting atmosphere at the stadium on Sunday, and then we'll be back next Thursday, hopefully to preview the 49ers or if they get knocked off. We'll see.
Oh, no, we would play the winner of the Cowboy-Bucks game, right?
Yeah, we would if that happens.
Okay.
So we'll see how that shakes out. So thank you again for joining us on Jeff Diamond's Thursday Purple Report, brought to you every Thursday and Mondays during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with Jason Stormer. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.